juries. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion and video presentation. My name is Jean Paul Ricardo Sanchez. I am student in bachelor degrees in foreign languages with emphasis in English. Today, as a group, we will reflect on our teaching practices, share our ideas, and discuss the experiences we have gained through the academic course and the Agora event. To begin our session, we would like to present our group posters titled Bringing the Gap and Chasing Interactive Communication Through Digital Gamification.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. One greetings to companions and tutor. My name is Edwin Rodriguez Fir of my teach excellent companies, competence, and quality to plan the poster for it acquisition. Good start is poster name, bridge the gas enhance interactive communication through digital gamification. Cool. This topic has gained great importance due to its learning and social impact according the poster will show marked interaction and communication among the students that is side and improving in class. My task with the teacher to achieve a higher degree of learning or investigation strategy and teaching after the grammar and the student of language in order to care which had different more information and to have this future teacher and correct future time.
Hello, my name is Julita Diana Martinez, and okay, I will begin by explaining the basic of our project, starting with the problem. We have identified a clear need for meaningful interactions and student participation in only English classes, where students often adopt a passive attitude, causing poor retention of phonetic and morphological structures. In terms of context, this situation typically occurs in synchronic online classes, where digital teaching methods based on grammatical repetition cause students to become very fake and participate less. Therefore, our general objective and main purpose is to improve interactive communication in English through digital gamification strategies, which promote active participation and truly meaningful learning.
Now I'm going to explain the implementation plan and the gamified activities of our project. This plan was designed to be integrated during 1 week in regular English classes, where each day includes a different activity to improve communication, pronunciation, and creativity, and the students' participation through digital tools. On Monday, students participate in Phonetic Quest, an activity that aims to improve pronunciation and phonological awareness, where they practice listening and repeat some succinct tools like generally, verbal, and paddle to make learning more dynamic. On Tuesday, we have the interactive storytelling experience, which helps students improve speaking, writing, and listening skills by creating their own story with text, pictures, audio, and moving them from passive learning to active creation. On Wednesday, they participate in a communicative skills for youth, an activity focused on practicing core skills like listening, speaking, reading, and writing in developmental stages, helping them interact, share ideas, and gain confidence. On Tuesday, students develop the story together, which promotes collaborative creativity and create active participation, working together to continue a narrative collective as group. Finally, on Friday, the students participate in the storytelling chain, an activity focused on improving grammar, vocabulary, and sentence coherence, where they work together by adding sentences to share word and correct errors like real time. In general, all these activities aim to transform students from passive observers into active participants, making English learning more dynamic, interactive, and interesting.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dani. Now, I will explain the last part of our project, the assessment plan, the evaluation criteria, and her conclusions. First, her assessment plan combines both formative and summative evaluation. This means that students are evaluated during the activities and also at the end of the process. The purpose of these assessments is not only to measure results, but also to observe student progress, motivation, and participation during the gamified activities. We use different digital products and classroom interaction as evidence of learning, such as recording, collaborative stories, speaking activities, and creative tasks. Now let's talk about the evaluation criteria pronunciation. We evaluated how cleanly a student pronounced words and sounds in English. Activity like phonetic has helped a student improve their speaking confidences and listening skills. Number one, grammar. Grammar is evaluated through sentences, construction, and correct language using during storytelling and collaborative exercise. Number two, vocabulary. Vocabulary students are assessed of the varied and appropriate use of vocabulary learning during the activities and creativity. Number three, creativity. It's an important part of this project. Students are encouraged to create stories, ideas, and interactive content using digital tools and imagination. And number four, participation. Finally, participation measures students involvement, collaboration, and activity communication during the activities. So this project focuses on interaction. Participation is one of the most important criteria. Conclusions. In conclusion, this project demonstrated that digital gamification can transform traditional English class into more dynamic, interactivity, and meaningful learning experiences. The activity promoted communication, teamwork, creativity, and motivation among students. We also concluded that technology and gamification strategies help students become more activity participants instead of the passive learning. Closing, thank you for your attention. We hope this project inspires new educational strategies that may learning English more engaging and effective for students.
Thank you very much, Tim, for presenting the rest of our poster. Now that the purposes and highlights of our project are clear, let's transition into our critical reflection and address the guiding question for our panel discussion. Question A. What was the most valuable experience from your teaching practice?
Okay, classmate, my answer is the following. I consider that the most valuable experience of my teaching practice was being able to understand important aspects of the classroom more deeply. As future teachers, it's essential to start experiencing and understanding different situations that are part of the educational process, because this helps us prepare better for our professional role. In addition, this experience allowed me to identify some of the changes that teachers face and understand that teaching is not only about give knowledge, but also about reflecting on student needs and how we can provide more meaningful support.
Thank you, Judy. My answer is for the question A is the most valuable experiences was saying studying, participate actively, enjoy, and learning through gamified activities. Please, Edwin.
According to determine most the projects were collected work, identity grad math decisions, completing the work. Very simple topics to work in. Even though it's visual, it's more difficult to understand. And from teach point, it is more theoretical project where research trial versus and education. Bibliography reference homework is the teacher was very emphatic is correcting the assignment. What real-life math and visual class is that learn really topics in grammar were discussed math or the teacher with the language with a really very good teacher regarding teaching and communication takes the teacher who was principally us acquainted at where those is regard sport communication with in the student and the teacher according to the groups will be short-term somewhat prepared. Thank you.
In my case, science or practice was based on observation. I think the most valuable experience was analyzing different video recordings of virtual classes and seeing how real teachers handle the online challenge. For example, watching how students can easily lose focus in a virtual environment made me realize how important it is to design dynamic activities. So being able to observe those real classroom dynamics from the outside was definitely one eye-opening experience for me. Question B. How did your view of language acquisition evolve during this course?
Okay, I think that in my perspective on language acquisition changed significantly during the course. At the beginning, I thought that learning a language was mainly about grammar, and vocabulary. However, throughout the course, I understand too that language acquisition is more complex process that depend on different factors such as content, interaction, motivation, and teaching strategies. In addition, I learned the importance of creating more dynamic and participate learning environments where students can develop communication skills in a more natural and meaningful way. Okay, this also helped me reflect on the role of the teacher as a guide in the language learning process.
For me, I learned that language acquisition happens better through interaction, communication, and creativity, and not only grammar memorization. Edwin?
The teacher is on the most important role is teaching what our learning comes from the teaching itself that is beside how to work clear so that the student will understand the method or work one or that the tool is technological tools. Let's remember that from the is for the section so that the child or adolescent has access and ways to learn with through videos, images, touch, and other of the education and information well learned.
Honestly, before this course, I used to think that language acquisition was just about memorizing vocabulary and repeated structures. But after observing so many virtual classes and analyzing the Agora event, my view completely changed. I realized that traditional methods based only on the repetition usually cause a lot of students fatigue. And that true learning happens when there is a real interaction and emotional connection, even if an online environment. Question C. Which activity from the Agora posters inspired you the most and why?
This question is very interesting for me, classmate. And one of the posters that caught my attention the most was Future Teacher Postcards, and especially the part about the teaching methods we use. I found it interesting because they talk about different teaching methods and how learning can improve when students have a relaxed and positive mindset. I also like the idea of learning by listening, answering, and speaking in English because this strategy helps improve learning.
Thank you, Judith. The interactive storytelling experiences inspired me most because it promoted creativity and communication using digital tools. Edwin, please, the question.
The challenge for the student to that advance the opportunity to speak in public shows that listen be the research as faster days. Thank you.
Personally, the presentation that inspired me the most at the event was the gamification journey, in which the teacher explained how she transformed traditional reading assignments into interactive games using Genially and Worldwide to help students feel more motivated. This really caught my attention because in our own project, we also focus on digital gamification to encourage interactions and prevent student fatigue. So saying how she used points and levels to give the class step by step showed me that our ideas are truly effective and that digital tools can genuinely change the way that students engage. Question D. What will you take away from the Agora event as a future teacher?
Okay, as a future teacher, I take away new ideas about how to teach in a more motivating and inspiring way. I also understand the importance of creating a positive environment of a student can learn with more confidence and participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuri. I take away the importance of innovation, empathy, and interactive strategy to creative, meaningful learning experiences. Edwin, I love listening your opinion about this question.
Regarding the electronic communication, the teacher always plays off at 20. At very it was in the regard super communication, between the student and the teacher. According to the group we build, they are more prepared. Thank
As
you.
a future teacher, what stood almost to me from the event was related to Heliconia's Dreamer project, which focused on rural education and how language teaching should be limited to following textbook or start to curriculum. It made me realize that we need to connect English to our students' real lives, their community, and their emotions. So I'm taking away the idea that we're not there just for repeat rules, but to create a safe space where our students can connect languages to who they really are. Anyway, thank you all for sharing your thought today. I think this course and this event really changed the way that we say teaching. This concludes our panel discussion. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.
Thank